Welcome back, sleepers of the sands, to another quick and easy rundown over the latest Communet number 11 that has been released by Funcom for us people to see what's been going on behind the scenes as well as what to look forward to in the future. Now, whether you've spent the holidays grinding spice, building the perfect base, or just enjoying a quiet moment away from the sands of Arrakis, Dune Awakening has been charging deep into the new year at full speed, and Chapter 3 is shaping up to be the biggest update the game has seen since launch. Now today we're breaking down everything Funcom has revealed recently, Chapter 3's in-game overhaul, the new progression system, the Raiders of the Broken Lands DLC, public test client updates, quality of life improvements, community highlights, and what all of this means for the future of Dune. So grab some water and stay hydrated. Let's dive in. And kicking us off, it is what to expect in Chapter 3, because Funcom is making it clear to everybody out there that Chapter 3 is existing solely on the fact because they've been listening to your feedback. At least one of the loudest requests from the community has been very simple but important. What do we do after Tier 6? This covers everything in PvE, PvP, and a solo-focused players alike, and what their concerns are about making the game playable for the long term. Now, Chapter 3 is supposed to directly answer that question, because they are claiming the in-game has been completely reworked for Chapter 3 to provide deeper progression, more meaningful choices, and viable long-term goals. At the core of this update are two new progression systems that will be working together. First of all is going to be the Specialization progression, where players can now invest in long-term specialization tracks such as crafting, gathering, exploring, combat, and sabotage. Each specialization can be leveled all the way to 100, and there's no hard cap to total experience earned. Over time, dedicated players can eventually even max every track out, but meaningful choices still matter along the way. This is all information that was given to us more or less in the live stream that was put out not too long ago. In addition, there's also that Augmentation progression, which is for late game gear getting even deeper with a new Augmentation station. Tier 6 unique gear can now be enhanced with powerful augments, allowing players to further customize builds and push their playstyle to the limit. This creates a layered in-game where gear, specialization, and faction progression will all feed into one another. Now, this is supposed to offer us a much wider view of how we can start developing a more diverse crafting and building system for our in-game activities, such as how we are building melee and ranged focused builds for the in-game content that will be coming up. Now, whether or not this is actually going to fix any of the problems, we don't know yet. However, I am very excited about this, considering the fact that we have been very limited to a quotation beginning and end mark meta build for the game, but I do think this is going to offer us a more diverse track to be following in the near future. So let's keep our eyes on this and make sure that we are paying full attention and trying to work together to make these builds work properly with each other so that we can do this in-game content very quick and easy. Next is, of course, that Landsraad revamp and faction progression. Now, I've been griping about progression for quite some time because the faction idea of this game, I believe, does not exist. But Funcom is claiming it does exist, Nerdbird, and this is how we're going to explain it to you. Because the Landsraad has been completely rebuilt. Instead of just being a background system, it is now going to play a central role in the in-game progression with new replayable missions, improved rewards, and more meaningful influence over faction control. Now, faction ranks have also been extended, adding new contracts, missions, and rewards that give players reasons to stay invested long term, and the revamp supports both solo players and organized groups, making in-game activities supposed to be feeling more purposeful and less repetitive. For me, this isn't exactly what I envision when it comes to faction. However, I'm not a developer of this game, so if Funcom is telling us this is what faction is meant to be, I don't necessarily think it's solving any problems out there in the deep desert or with the PvP realm, but let's just move on and see what else they had to say in this press release. Because next we are talking about the new content locations, testing stations, and bosses. They say that Chapter 3 will expand the Overland map to 10 new challenge locations, 5 open area challenge sites. These are for boosting faction progress, Landsraad influence, and of course, Specialization XP. There's also going to be 5 new repeatable testing stations. These feature entirely new boss encounters with scaling difficulty and increasingly valuable rewards. Importantly though, only the new testing stations use the difficulty scaler for now, but Funcom has started to hint at a future plan for existing locations as well to be boosted to different levels of playability. This will be interesting because instead of just running the same boring equal level stuff out there, we might be able to start influencing and getting better gear by doing all progress at different levels. Next, we have weapons, combat, and the story continuation, because combat is also getting a update here in Chapter 3 by adding 2 brand new weapons, the dual blades and the pie rocket, a full rapier rework, and the combat variety aimed at supporting different playstyles. This is what we were talking about earlier with the augments and the skills. This is going to offer us a nice diverse ability to, change up the way our builds have been in the past, and we might be able to see a lot of really interesting and unique ideas coming out of this. And of course, for the story-focused players, good news. Chapter 3 continues the narrative directly where Chapter 2 left off, delivering several hours of new story-driven survival gameplay. As for the Raiders of Broken Lands DLC, this will be launching alongside the free Chapter 3 update, and it's available for around $10 or including the season pass. So take the pass, buy the extension, up to you. The DLC is going to focus heavily on one of the most requested features, which is more building and customization options. I don't necessarily think this is the most heavy focused request by the community, but whatever, Funcom is the ones getting all the feedback and the information, so we have to just kind of trust them on this. The DLCs are going to include 74 smuggler themed building pieces, 17 decorative items, 3 armor sets, 2 weapon variants, a raider buggy skin, swatches and emotes, and for builders and base designers, this DLC is a massive content injection. However, they're still not giving me sandcrawler skins, so I'm angry. As for the public test client and patch 1.3.0.0 highlights, if you wanted hands-on access early, this patch was the one that you were supposed to be jumping into. It's been live for quite a while. This PTC includes almost everything that is going to be coming with Chapter 3, with the exception that some things might be changed, taken out, or added in, depending on how the company is seeing the progression of the players going through the game. There is, of course, that new in-game progression system, the Landsraad revamp, specializations and augments, new weapons and testing stations. The only exclusions are story content and DLC, which are not put in there because they're trying to avoid future spoilers, and you gotta pay for that content. Also, Funcom is actively encouraging feedback through Steam discussion and the PTC Discord channels, so if you are seeing things that you don't like and there are issues or improvements that you would like to see in the game, make sure that you are dropping a lot of feedback in these 2 areas, because this is where Funcom claims they are getting all of their data to improve our game in the future. As for the quality of life improvements and system upgrades, several upgrades have already landed. First of all is that Base Reconstruction Tool, which they've been working so hard on for us. Players are now able to store and redeploy their entire base instantly, including all contents, without rebuilding, no resource gathering, optimal snap to original location placement, which deleted my base because they put the X button for delete the blueprint out of the base backup tool as the same button for this. But okay, we're not going to cry too much about it, and vehicles are not included in the backup yet, but this is a massive improvement either way for relocation and server transitions. And by the way, they have gone back and fixed that, so thank you, Nerdbird, for complaining enough about this crazy hotkey issue that messed up your future base plans. As for the Ornithopter cargo container, we've all been using this for a few weeks now. This new large-scale cargo container is allowing Ornithopters to transport massive amounts of materials integrated directly with banks and, of course, the base circuits. As for anti-griefing and stability, additional anti-griefing prevention systems have been in place. They didn't really list what they are, but they're telling us that they're there. They fixed known Solari duplication exploits, so people who have been asking about dupes, they've been happening with Solari somehow. I don't know how, but they do happen, but they claim they are fixing them. And the new unstuck vehicle button for emergencies is really making people's lives much better as they are falling off cliffs and getting stuck in between little rocks and can't get out. These changes are truly aimed to make the moment-to-moment experiences smoother and fairer for all of us out there in the sands of Arrakis. As for community highlights and creator spotlights, the Dune Awakening community continues to be one of the game's strongest pillars. I've been preaching this from day one. There is no better community than the Dune Awakening community. And for massive bases and themed temples and fan art, screenshots, podcasts, and even PC builds, the creativity has been absolutely unreal. Funcom continues to highlight community creations across Reddit, Discord, and other social platforms, with featured creators receiving exclusive cosmetic rewards. So if you are creative, make sure you're getting those things out there so the public can see them, because you might get something for free if you do so. Next, of course, is the console status and looking ahead into the future. Console releases are still planned for this year. So in 2026, all you people out there that are saying, I wish I could play this on Xbox, you might be getting it sooner than you realize. But the internal builds are progressing well, and with ongoing work on controller support and console-specific optimizations, they do believe this will be happening in 2026. While PvP arenas aren't coming in Chapter 3, Funcom has confirmed they are actively being discussed internally. So this is a win-win, as we all left the live cast feeling a little bit angry that there wasn't enough stuff getting put in there in PvP. And when asked, is there going to be PvP arenas, they said, no, you guys just keep building them. You're doing a great job. Why would we step in your way? Well, it looks like they've changed their mind. So there are people actually listening to us and taking the pulse of the community to make sure that we don't stay angry for too long. As for closing thoughts, Chapter 3 is going to represent a turning point for Dune Awakening, in my opinion. This isn't just more content, guys. It's a fundamental rebuild of how the endgame is going to be working. It is shaped directly by community feedback, which we are seeing them trying to focus at least some ideas around it. It's not maybe the exact way that we are asking community-wise for them to shape it, but at least they're trying to do something here. And with deeper progression, stronger faction systems, meaningful PvE paths, and a renewed focus on long-term play, I do believe Dune Awakening is clearly settling in for the long haul. If you've been waiting for a reason to come back to the game or to push deeper into Arrakis, Chapter 3 might just be that moment for you guys, so don't hold back from buying the game or getting back in here with us and playing out in the deep sands. Until next time, sleepers, stay hydrated, watch for sandworms, and may you always find water along your path.